New topic for an old device.
What?
Seriously?
Okay.
That's not a question.
Okay.
Banned. No. So actually, this is not a new topic, but it's just something that I was dealing with this week. What's it like to use an iPad Pro from 2017 in 2020? Because I was looking for a new iPad some time ago, and I found out that this exact iPad, 2017, 10.5 inches iPad Pro, is actually a really nice device if you want a fairly cheap but powerful iPad. Because, for example, if you have a limit of $600, you could look into the iPad Air, or it's even $700 if you want it with 256 gigabytes. But you have only the audio on one side because the speaker is only on one side. You have the good CPU, yes, but you don't have the 120 Hz refresh rate. You don't have the very good screen. You don't have the very good brightness and color range. And actually, this is a really nice device if you still want to buy an iPad in 2020 for a low price. So why is it so good? The 2017 iPad Pro, which I'm also I'm using right here, it actually still carries good hardware for 2020 because you still have your 4 gigabytes of RAM. I know this is not so much for a device. If you would buy a Surface Pro with 4 gigabytes, that's not usable. But for a highly optimized iOS device, that's totally fine. Because even the current iPhone 11 Pro has 4 gigabytes. Just look that up. iPhone 11 Pro RAM.
Yeah, I don't think you have more than 4
Yeah, it's 4 gigabytes of RAM. And I mean, the iPhone 11 Pro, it's a new device. So, yeah. We're from Switzerland. If you're interested into that. Where was I?
The iPhone 11 has
the 4 gigabytes of RAM. So that's absolutely usable. How could the I mean, I think you really have to take care of comparing, because iPad Pro runs iPad OS, and Surface Pro 6 runs Windows.
Yes, I mean
so you cannot do a direct comparison. I mean, if you look at CPU, I would just guess that the iPad Pro is probably better. I'm just guessing, because the CPUs of Apple are very good.
Yes.
But you cannot run Photoshop or Windows on the iPad Pro, for example. So it's really hard to compare it. But I would say they are kind of different, kind of similar. If you, for example, compare them with in browser benchmarks, for example. I don't have browser benchmark results right now, but at that point I think they would be really similar if you, for example, compare Safari to Edge. But yes, it's hard to compare. So I will just continue. With the model, for example, that I got for $500, it's around $500. You also get 256 gigabytes of storage. You get 600 nits of brightness, which is really high. You have no problems using the iPad Pro in bright sun. You have 120 Hz refresh rate, and even just for that, it's just really nice to use because it has such a high refresh rate. It has the 4 speakers. It has, which makes it really usable if you want to watch a movie, and it has 30 watts fast charge. That's also totally underestimated, because underrated. I mean. Because you can actually use this kind of like a laptop, because it has the good speakers, it has a good display, it has 30 watts of charging, so you can charge it quickly.
Yes.
It has also USB free. Through Lightning. But the Lightning connector actually uses USB 3.0, which all the other iPhones are not using. They are using USB 2.0 speeds. And it makes the device just really usable.
Yes, also you can use it, also it's a tablet that you can use as laptop if you are just doing researches, email, taking notes or stuff.
For that, it's totally fine.
And that's perfect. I mean, it's a fast tablet. It's really powerful because I mean, also even if you have lower specs when compared to devices such Surface Pro or other tablets, you cannot compare it because it's run on iOS, and iOS it's really more.
It's developed for touch.
Yes.
It's completely developed for touch.
Yeah, also that it's really optimized. So you know which OS you are going to run. You know what model this is, and so you can really work directly with the CPU, knowing what you have to do. This is not going to happen on Surfaces or other devices.
I actually got a CPU comparison in Geekbench.
Oh, nice.
For example, here we can see the results of Microsoft Surface Pro 6 with an Intel i5. You can see it here, Intel i5. And it has 4 cores, 8 threads, 1.9 gigahertz or 3.6 maximum. And it has a result of 890 points single core and almost 3000 points in multi-core. Now for the iPad Pro, this is Geekbench 5, right? This was Geekbench 5 as well, I hope. Yeah, Geekbench 5. Now for the iPad Pro, you have very similar results. I mean, the single core score is for this part really important because when you are browsing, JavaScript is using single core performance. So you need a good single core performance or your website will lag. And besides that, multi-core performance of course is important as well, because when you're having some heavier load or using multiple apps at the same time, it will work fine. But that's why I say, I mean, for iPad usage, just slight work, the iPad Pro is totally fine, totally usable. Yeah. And I mean, this is the 2017 iPad Pro. Let me just show you the benchmark of the 2020 iPad Pro. That's really impressive, actually.
Well,
but is it the latest? It's not even the latest, but just take a look. So, I mean, when you compare just CPU performance, iPads totally win, because the ARM processor that Apple is doing, they are so highly optimized.
Yes.
They totally crush.
Yes, also you have to consider if you are using Windows or Android, these OS have to run on an incredible high number of devices. Yes. So the OS cannot optimize for just one CPU, ARM CPU. It's optimized that it works for a lot of CPUs and a lot of different models. On Apple, there is just this model, and you build the OS directly for this CPU. So yes, the software optimization make a huge impact on the performance system. That's also the reason because you cannot compare Android devices and Apple devices. Android devices use 6 GB or 8 GB, or also 12 GB of RAM. The new Apple use 4. The new iPhone use 4 GB, and the performance are the same, if not better.
Much better, much better.
Okay.
If you have synthetic loads, they're much better.
They're better.
No advertisement.
Yeah. It's for that. It's the software optimization, and you cannot put up. I mean, Apple devices are always gonna win for software optimization. So
and as ARM 1999, you know the Surface Pro X. That's when we're talking about comparing it directly, because you cannot compare it directly, because if you try to do x64 software on an ARM, it won't work because it's not optimized that way. Yeah. But why do you say it sucks? You have it your own. Why did you buy it? And that's why I say it's hard to compare them. You really have to take care of specific usages, and then you can compare them there. Yeah. If you compare Photoshop performance with an iPad, it's hard because the iPad Photoshop app is completely different. I would not. It's hard to compare.
Yeah,
so for me, the iPad Pro, it's just for when I'm at the cafe. I just want a very lightweight device where I can type on. The iPad Pro from 2017 has the smart keyboard. It has no touchpad. That's okay. I don't need it for that reason, because, for example, I tried to do some Photoshop work with Affinity Photo. And yeah, I can do that much quicker on my Mac Mini.
Yeah, okay.
Because I have the mouse, and then I can do detailed tasks can be done much better. But if it's just typing, responding to emails, browsing, simple photo editing, for example, Lightroom on iPad is just fine. And for all those tasks, this iPad is totally usable.
Yeah.
So, so the processor is getting old slowly, but I think for this and next year, the iPad Pro 2017 will still be usable. And I think it's also a bit difficult actually to get one. If you want one, you really have to take care. I mean, the price is $500 for 256 gigabytes and LTE as well. It's very good if you find a very good device. But today I found one for $650. And it was a new sealed device with 512 gigabytes of storage and LTE, and that's really cool actually. That's a really good price. Yes. Because if you want the same with the newest iPad Pros, you pay at least a double amount.
Yes, and the price is really cool. I mean, really low for what you get with this device.
Okay. Well, that's for the iPad. When using Pro X and opening Gmail in Chrome, good luck, it will crash 100%. Yeah, but you're probably using x46 Chrome, and that's why it's so slow. I think if you use Edge, which is ARM optimized on your Pro X, I think that will probably run fine, wouldn't it? I mean, tell me, have you tested it? Because I think the Pro X, Surface Pro X, it's really optimized. It should never ever will I use Edge.
Why is hate against Edge? I mean,
it's getting better, and it's actually Edge is using Chromium already.
Yes, they switched to Chromium.
But I know what you mean. If I'm using Windows on my Windows tower, I always use Chrome.
But I mean, Edge is not bad. I mean, I use it sometimes. No, it's not bad. I mean, it's a good software. I mean, a good web browser.
But you're saying even if it's optimized for ARM64, but that's what you buy when you buy the Surface Pro X.
Yes.
You buy an ARM device, a Windows ARM device, and you really have to use the optimized ARM software. That's why I don't like the Surface Pro X, because it's a nice device. It looks really nice.
I mean, it's
but it's ARM on Windows. Like what?
Yeah.
I buy a Windows because I want to run x64 software.
Yeah, for me the Pro X was more an experiment and to start something new, because as Windows want to go on ARM, because ARM is the future, I guess.
Way more efficient.
For devices, laptops, it should be all go on use ARM. So Windows is trying to go on ARM. Pro X was one of the first experiments, I guess. I don't know, but so it has these huge problems. But yes, I hope Windows will go better with that. They always have problems with the first devices concepts. Yes, but I hope they will not abandon this journey that they have taken, and that they will improve this.
Yes. Yeah, I was just reading what you've written. Yeah, seems just like that. I think about the Pro X, I kind of remember my time when I was trying to use an iPad more professional. It was not possible. I mean, and this is kind of the issue that you run if you try to use your Surface Pro X professional. You can't.
Okay.
That's why I have this iPad Pro, because I only wanted to use it for not professional stuff. For all the harder workload, for example, streaming, I use a MacBook or a computer at least, something that is more powerful.
Okay, but also ERM 1999. So you try to code on the Pro X. How was your experience?
But that shouldn't be so bad.
No, I mean, which tools did you use, and how was
also,
the experience?
can you run the Linux? They have subsystem on the Pro X.
I don't know.
That would actually be really cool if you could use like the actual ARM power in Linux. That would be cool.
Yes.
Talking to the Angular
just talk about a moment of the Linux subsystem. It's really cool. I mean, I use it on my PC. You can use.
Let me change the topic. But yes, it's really cool.
Yes, and now Windows has also made a terminal. Windows Terminal, it's a new terminal, and it's really cool. It's usable. And then they have also, there is also a package repository for Windows. It's called Chocolately, and you can install programs using the command line. And it's much faster than going to the website and download the software. Yeah. When I built up my PC, I installed Chocolately with PowerShell, okay, and I installed 20 software in 3 minutes. I mean, you can just type code and you have the software what you need. Finally, you can use package repository also on Windows. That was missing. Okay.
But what are you programming? I mean, you said you're programming. What exactly is it? Is it just some HTML or is it some Java?
JavaScript actually.
I was talking about Java.
Okay.
You don't have to tell me that.
No, yeah, okay, but you said it was not that I know that you know that. It was more of the audience because you said because a lot of people.
I know. I mentioned HTML.
You said HTML and Java. And it was what? Because it's a lot of people say Java for JavaScript, and it's two completely different stuff. And I'm a Java developer, so I always get a little bit angry when people confuse Java and JavaScript because JavaScript for me is shit.
You're getting off topic of our off topic.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, he's programming with Java. So.
Okay, nice. What?
Issue solved. What he's programming.
Yes, use Eclipse or IntelliJ. Because, I mean, if you use Eclipse, I think it's normal that you have problems because Eclipse has problems on its own. If you use IntelliJ, it's a really good software. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. So, I don't know if there is an IDE that works on ARM, that's good. So, yeah.
So let's get to the next topic. But thank you for this off-topic discussion regarding the Surface Pro X.
I used Eclipse for 1 year. I hope finally switch to IntelliJ. Really glad of this choice.
Yeah.
But yes, okay, we can change to the next.
Yeah, I do web development, so Java.
No, JavaScript. Go back and development.
Okay. So next topic and last topic. We are already at 1 hour and 3 minutes.
Yes, but
okay.
It was fun.
So, new Surface headphones. There have been a few new ones. So, first thing that we will cover are the new Surface headphones 2.